How many of us here have a smartphone with us? Obviously everyone, right? And I would know that almost all of you in your smartphone you will have a number of pre-installed apps, and many of us have installed many more apps as well, right? And now without even checking your mobile phone and without even knowing how many apps do you have in your mobile phone, I can say one thing with almost absolute certainty, that of all the apps that you have in your mobile phone, you would be using only 20% of those apps 80% of the times. And you know what we call this principle? We call this 80-20 principle. So today I am going to discuss about 80-20 principle, or more popularly known as Pareto Principle. So I'll start with the history of Pareto. Now, before telling you the history, let me also define what Pareto Principle is all about. What it says that 20% of the causes invariably produces 80% of the results. Or in simpler words, I can say that whatever you achieve in your life, 80% of what you achieve in your life, 20% of it comes from 80% of it comes from the 20% of efforts that you are making, that you are putting in. But how it all started? In 1906, an Italian economist called Vilfredo Pareto, he made a very unique observation. He noted that almost 20% of the people in Italy holds 80% of the land there. And he was quite dumbfounded, how is this possible? So he went to other countries, he went to Germany, he went to Switzerland, he took the land records of those countries as well. And not only of that specific period, he took the land records of 50 years back. He checked the population, what was the population 50 years back, and then he analyzed it. And then he saw that the observation that he had made in Italy holds true even in Switzerland and in Germany, and then in England, everywhere. So that was the kind of wealth distribution. He called this principle as 80-20 principle and started applying this principle in every aspect of his life. But unfortunately, nobody took heed of what he was saying. And nobody made any observation like he was making. So this principle, this Pareto principle that we know now, was not very popular in that area. He died in 1928, and one of the reasons was also because he made certain controversial statements. When he was looking at the wealth distribution, he said that democracy and socialism are incapable of bridging the gap between the rich and the poor. Because in all these countries, either it was socialism or democracy. And he was also anti-Marxist. And he said he tried to promote a theory called elitism, in which he said probably some elite people should have that power to rule the masses, who have meritocracy. In one way it was meritocracy, but we all know that this kind of elitism usually lead to dictatorship. What happened in Italy also. It is said that Benito Mussolini also attended some of his lectures and he got encouraged, and then we know what Mussolini did in Italy. Anyway, this theory almost died. In 1941, a Romanian-born American engineer, Joseph M. Juran, somehow saw this theory. And Joseph M. Juran is someone who is known as the quality guru. And he started applying the principles of Pareto principles of 80-20 into quality management. So what he did was he put all the defects that could be there in the manufacturing process in order of their frequency. And then he realized that only 20% of those defects are responsible for 80% of the problems. And it was like hitting a jackpot. Because that was the time when people were talking about quality. Not in USA. Because in USA, nobody even paid heed to him. And he said that this is the theory and we can apply it into quality. But then it was a time when Second World War was on. So nobody thought about quality at that point of time. In 1948, 1949, he tried to again promote his theory there, but nobody heard him. In 1952, when Japan was trying to come up into his foot after that debilitating loss in this Second World War, because Japan was trying to shift his focus from a military superpower to an economic superpower. But that was the time when Japan was known for cheap products, cheap in price and cheap in quality. Nobody wanted to take any product from Japan. It was not known in the world at all. At that point of time, JUICE invited Joseph M. Juran to Japan. JUICE means Japanese Union of Scientists and Engineers. And he went there and he gave the lectures. And he started courses in quality management in that country. In 1954, he went back again and he started these courses. And he said that all the higher management and the lower management, they should also get training. And that was the idea which was not very well accepted in USA. Because in USA, they thought, no, we don't need training. We are already giving quality products. The training is required for the junior guys. So his idea was not successful in USA, but it became amazingly successful in Japan. And everywhere, in university, he started giving lectures and people started going to him. So So it became very popular, and we all know that by early 1970, Japan became the country which is known for its quality. And Joseph Juran was one of the instrumental figure who helped them reach that sort of a target. But anyway, that was the history. But what exactly is Pareto Principle? I have already given you a definition of Pareto Principle, but how can it help? Or you can say you don't have to don the hat of a mathematician when you are looking at Pareto Principle. You don't say, no, my bank is for 75%, 25%. It can be like that. Pareto Principle is not a law, it is an observation. But it usually applies in almost every aspect of our life. Right? So what you do is that, how can it help you? Like if you are a businessman, how can it help you? Say for example, in your business, you see that you will notice that 20% of the employees are responsible for 80% of the work. Now if you already know this, you would rather devise a plan in which how you can train those 80% and also how you can reward those 20% who are working for you. Now 20% of the defects in any machinery is responsible for 80% of the problem. So instead of looking for all the defects, you focus your energy to those 20%. Right? And this is how you can improve yourself. At the same time, Pareto Principle is also not a method which asks you to completely eliminate all the non-critical aspects of a situation. So it is not that you think only about 80%, you forget about 20%, you will never get to quality. It only asks you to focus your efforts on that 20% first, and then you look at the rest of the 80%. And it is not only about business, it can be applied in your personal life as well. Now, how many of you are married here? Right, so let's assume that you fight with your spouse sometimes. You don't have to assume actually. We all now you make a list of all the reasons why you fight with your spouse. You probably come up with 20 reasons, and you will see, you will know that the Pareto Principle will also apply here. You will see that 4 reasons are among the top why you are fighting with your wife or with your husband. Now you focus your efforts to solve those 4 solutions, and then you will see that your marriage life will become much better. All you have to do after that, you have to look up and you have to say, thank you, Pareto.